Hi Big Dragons! I'm here to do my top 12 non-fantasy books that I've read, or mostly the books that I listened to this year. Sorry, I'm still dealing with a little bit of a cough and the flu, so I do apologize for that, but I did want to film this video. So I'm going to kind of go through the books that I kept throughout the year that I really did like. They just didn't make the top reads, and a lot of these are special editions that I'm not planning on getting rid of. So the first book I kept was The Baby Dragon Cafe by A.T. Kirishi. This was a kind of like Dream Harbor but set in a fantasy world, and I did like this book. I did give this book 5 stars, but I think it's more like 4.75. I did like it. I like the second book better in this series because it was a like a second chance romance, but this one was very fun. It's been a long time that I read it, but it has what the Dream Harbor series doesn't have for me. It has characters that I feel connected to. And I guess I physically read these, but I really did like it. It was just a fun time. Very hate to more vibes, but the small town vibes really made me happy. And the second book in the series, which I have to wrap up in December, was my favorite. So it didn't want to make it in the list, but I really do like this series. I struggle a little bit with Laurie Gilmore's writing style, but this book, with the fantasy elements and the characters and the world, I really did like it, so I'm happy that this book was on the list. And then another book that I read that I kept, because eventually I would like to own this whole series, is Keeper of the Lost Unraveled by Shannon Messenger. This is book 9.5 in this series. This is the Keefe focus book, and I feel like this is very important reading for anyone reading that series, because you do get a lot of backstory about Keefe, and it still is like a pretty long book. It's like, you know, almost 400 pages. But her books are like 700 pages, so this one was like very digestible. I feel like you got a lot of information, but you're still setting up for the battle. Sorry, I'm watching Stranger Things, and that's like all that I'm thinking about. But this is kind of like, you know, like a spin-off series. Like, it kind of like gives me those vibes because you really see Keefe as the main character. And I'm really excited to see the last book in the series. It's probably one of my favorite middle grade series to date. And then we do have a lot of Catherine Cowles here, just because I have been collecting her books. So I have Broken Harbor by Catherine Cowles, which would have made this list because I really did like this one. This is Coop and oh, what is her name? Sutton. And I really did like these characters like quite a bit. And then we have Chasing Shelter, which I also really like. Catherine Cowles is just one of my favorite romantic suspense authors. And this is Trace and oh, who's the other character? Ellie. And I really did like this one as well. And then we have Beautiful Exile, which is, oh my goodness, Lincoln and Arden, who I also did like. And then we're also going to shout out The Gilded Heiress by Joanna Shoup. I know that historical romance is dying, but this is a Anastasia retelling that I really did like. I read this I think on my trip, and I had a really fun time with it, so that is why it's on my honorable mention, and they sent me an ARC, so I'm gonna probably keep it. And then this is just like a standout book that I like, just want to talk about it because this was the year of Stranger Things. Runaway Max by Brenda Yarnoff was a tie-in novel following Max in season 2 and 3, and I'm just gonna keep this. I bought this book when I was in Ireland, and I will keep it because it's a nice memory for me. But yeah, those are all the books that I kept this year that I thought possibly could make this list. And now let's get into the top 12. The books that aren't non-fantasy, leading a majority of these that I loved and think that you guys should all focus on or read in the next coming year, because I had a fun time with them. I try to do these in like order, but honestly all of these were 5 stars and they all have different reasons that they're on this list. So I'm going to try to do them in order, but they may not be fully in order. I really like The Breakup Pact by Emma Lord. This is her adult rom-com debut, and I love this book. I was really struggling listening to audiobooks up until this point. I was listening to a lot of Ellie Alexandra books this year, which was like little cozy mysteries, and this book really connected to me and I liked it. You basically follow these 2 characters, June and Levi. They were best friends as teenagers. They made a pact that they would like date or marry each other if they didn't find anyone else, and then they kind of came back together after kind of a misunderstanding, and it was a fun read. I really like this. It was very emotional, which Emma Lord does so well. It's a second chance romance. It's set on the beach, and I really like this one quite a bit. I didn't like For the Record as much, but this book just really worked for me, and it packed an emotional punch. If you're looking for a second chance romance with a beachy setting, I would pick this book up. Emma Lord always infuses like grief or a harder topic into her story, and I like that it was, I think this book was dual point of view. I can't remember because I read it so long ago, but I remember that she was dealing with the after effects of the death of her sister, and that was like very, very prevalent in the story. So this one was one that I really, really liked, and I really hope she writes another adult or YA book this year because she's one of my favorite authors. And then I also read Unloved by Peyton Corinne. This was an emotional read, like very, very emotional. It's set in college, and you have two characters, Maddie and Ro. And Ro is a people pleaser, which, story of my life, that is what I am. And Freddie has dyscalculia and has a lot of learning challenges. I also really relate to Freddie because I have dyscalculia and I had a lot of learning challenges. And both these characters were really falling in love with each other while learning how to love themselves. And I just loved this book. Like, it was very emotional. It was a very, very emotional read. It really made me re-examine myself a little bit when I was reading about Ro, because I can be a bit of a people pleaser. This is the sequel to Unsteady, which I loved the year that I read it, and I really just like her. She writes very emotional stories, and I love this book so much. If you're looking for an emotional romance, I would definitely pick this one up. And then thriller-wise, I read Glorious Rivals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and I really did like this one as well. This is a sequel to the Inheritance games, but it's set in the same world. Only in this series, you have Avery building the game, and you have a bunch of side characters that are kind of building it. And I like this book quite a bit. We had some different characters in this series, and I'm really excited to see where Gilded Blade goes. I have to read the prequel novella, which I'm hesitant to read, but I will read it. But I really like this book. I think that Jennifer Lynn Barnes does write such tightly wow mysteries, and I'm really excited to see what she writes next because I really do like her books, and that is why this one is on the list. And the next one I don't have a physical copy of. I don't know if I'm going to get one, but it is Battle of the Bookstores by Allie Brady. I will attach a photo of that book here. Sort of just another like beachy romance, but it had a heart to it. It's about these two characters that are working at competing bookstores, and they're like basically they're competing because they're next door. They have different clientele. They like do things, but the owner only wants one bookstore to survive, and you have a hate to more romance. And I really did like this one. It was another really quick read, and I loved it. And I love books about books, but the characters have to like make sense to me, and this one did make sense. I read another one at the middle, closer to the end of the year, that I wound up DNFing called Battle of the Bookshops, and that one I didn't like as much. But this one had characters. I really want to read more by Allie Brady, and I'm happy that I read this one, and that is why it had made this list. And I'm so happy I got around to it. And then a recent addition to the list, the next two were pretty recent. One is Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. I actually have my copy over there, so let me go get it. This is a Christmas Carol retelling, but basically you have a main character who's the ghost of Christmas past, and he is set to kind of haunt this girl and kind of make her see the error of his ways, but things don't go according to plan, and it is a fun time. I really did like this book. B.K. Borison always packs like an emotional punch in her book, and I really did like this. She definitely has an elevated spice level that I don't love always, but I did like these characters. I thought it was a fun read, and I really liked Harriet in the story. I thought it was an unexpected twist at the end, and I had a fun time with it, so that's why this one is on its list. I didn't like her newer book earlier in the year, but this book definitely made my list because I had a fun time with it. And I always try to get a good like Christmassy romance because I really do like them, and this one just hit. So. And then one that I was surprised that made the list, honestly, was Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I will attach a photo of that book here. Not going to be everyone's favorite. And I think that for me, it had a lot of elements that I liked. It had two characters. There was a romance at the heart of it. It also had a lot of self-discovery issues for both characters, and it also had like a plot line that was like true crime adjacent, or Evelyn Hugo adjacent. I think there was a lot happening in this book, but I do feel like it could read more women's fiction-y. So if you didn't like this, I could see why you could think the romance was on the back burner, but I loved it. By the end of this book, I was so emotionally captured by all the characters in the story, and I just was captivated. And it basically, if you haven't heard the premise of this book, it's about these two writers. They're basically competing to write a tell-all about this old starlet's life, and she's going to kind of tell her story to these two people, and the winner gets to tell her story. And there are secrets and lies along the way, and there's definitely like a second chance hate, like a hate to more romance embedded in the story. But I had a great time with it. It might be my favorite Emily Henry to date, and it's definitely a slow burn. There's a lot happening in this book, and it may read a little bit more women's fiction, but I had a great time with it, so that is why it's on this list. And then another book that I really, really liked was Falling Like Leaves by Misty Williams. I read this before bed, like every night for like the fall season, and I love this book. It gave me Gilmore Girls vibes, to be very honest, and I am a big fan of like Gilmore Girls, but it basically followed this character named Ellis, and she has to go live in Connecticut with her mom after her dad and her break up or like have like a split, and she goes to this small Connecticut town that has a lot of fall vibes, and she winds up reconnecting with a boy that she had a past with, and things go from there. It is very, very fall coded, very, very Gilmore Girls coded, and I had a fun time with it. So this, I think we're getting a second book in this series, which I will definitely read. So that is why it's on this list. And then a nonfiction book that honestly like blew me away, and I wasn't expecting it, was the unofficial, like the Big Bang Theory complete guide. I will attach a photo of that book here. Love this book. This book had so much, like, it really had this author, Jessica Radcliffe, I think. She, like, really went in deep and talked to all the cast members and got all the behind-the-scenes stories. And Big Bang Theory is one of my favorite comedies of all time. And I just loved hearing about this from their point of view. They didn't shy away. They talked about the hard stuff as well. And I just really, really love this. I wish more stories did this, like, in the future. Like, there are so many series that I, like, love that I wish the cast would do this, because I feel like you get so much more information about it all. And that was just a book that I had to make the list. If you are a Big Bang Theory fan, you really, really need to read this book. Because definitely listen to it, because you get, like, you know, it's not like the people reading it. It's not like Kaylee Cuoco and Johnny Galecki, but you get to hear them talk, and I thought that was very, very interesting. And then my favorite thriller of the year is not going to be a shock to anyone, but that is Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I will attach a photo of that book here. Don't want to know the tropes for this book, I would fast forward, but I will just say, if you don't want to watch the clip, I really, really love Secret Haven by Catherine Cowles. There is a spoiler of the tropes in this, and I don't know how public that was because I'm on her ARC team, but a little bit of a spoiler ahead. If you don't want to know any of the tropes of this book and you want to just read it, go ahead. Just know it's one of my favorite of the entire series if you don't want to watch the clip. She's okay after that, but there's going to be a brain aneurysm that kills her, and she is kind of stuck in what to do next. Like, she really wants to solve her own murder, and it was gut-wrenching. It was very, very sad at the end. She has a dog, and just leaving my dog would make me heartbroken, but she's basically trying to solve her own murder with a couple of companions along the way, and I love this book. I have loved Holly Jackson in the past. I loved A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I love the second book, Good Girl, Bad Blood. I didn't love the last book in the series, and I also didn't love the reappearance of Rachel Price. And I know that Jet is like a controversial character, but for someone that hates like characters I can't root for, I was rooting for Jet so hard, and I really, really liked this book. That is why it made this list. So, and then we have every book by Catherine Cowles I read this year is a 5-star, but if I had to choose my two favorites, I would choose Secret Haven by Catherine Cowles. This is Kai and Fallon's story, and they are stepsisters, sort of. I will say that they grew up together after their teenage years, and they are forced into a marriage of convenience to save Kyler's siblings. I will say that. That is a bit of a spoiler. I apologize. But this book is one that I really did love. It was, again, I'm a Callie and Brandon fan from back in the day when I used to watch Foster's, and this book gave me those vibes, but in a way where the family wasn't ruined, and I really did appreciate that. So I love this book. I love everything that Catherine Cowles writes, as you can see in the stack of the books that I just mentioned, but I love this book, and I'm happy that it made the list. And then I also read Beg, Borrow, Steal by Sarah Adams. I will touch a photo of that book here. this for the Goodreads Choice Awards as well, and I really do like this. I like Sarah Adams. She has like an elevated spice. She has like a perfect spice level for me, because I feel like even when she does write spice, it doesn't get too steamy. She also is the option of being a close the door if you want to shut the door on the relationship, which I don't ever do, but she doesn't really write elevated spice. But this basically has a small town about 2 characters that are teachers. One character, the male character, moves away. They have a very, very hate to more dynamic. He comes back and things go from there. And I really like this one. I gave it 5 stars, and I really want to read the other books in this series, but I haven't done that yet. And then the first book that I read this year, one of the first ones that I want to just shout out, and I think that this is probably my favorite hate to more romance that I've ever read, is All the Missing Pieces by Catherine Cowles. This is a standalone that she wrote, her first book with Source Books, and I love this book. I think that this is the way you write a hate to more romance, and I remember I was reading this and I got to like 130 pages in and I was like, oh my god, they still hate each other. 50 pages, 50%, and they still hated each other, and that is how you do a hate to more romance that gets me invested. And I just love this book. It was so good. I really want to know more about the books in the series. Basically, you have a true crime podcaster named Chaos. She kind of goes to this small town. She's kind of trying to uncover this true crime case about a girl that got away from a serial killer. And the town is very, very protective, especially the lawman. And I love this book. So, that is where we are. Those are my top 12 books of 2025 that I loved. All of them are like mostly contemporary or mystery thriller, with a dash of some contemporary fantasy. But yeah, let me know in the comments, what is some romance books that you read this year that you think I would love based on this list, and maybe I'll do a video about it. And I'll talk to you guys soon.